Heck yeah.
All right, everyone, welcome in. This is our very first podcast. We are two Catholic dudes. My name is Ryan Klaus.
My name is Danny Cleary.
And you know what? We're not theologians. We're not priests. We're just two Catholic dudes, and we're talking about our faith.
Yeah, we wanted to start this podcast as just a way for us to, interact with people and have conversations about normal life and put our faith into those conversations and open up that discussion about our faith on a more, real platform of just two guys that are just friends but also happen to love their faith.
Absolutely. I love it. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and a lot of them are very formal, and I get a lot out of it. And again, they're theologians, and they know so much about their faith, and not that we don't. We have our specialties, but I just thought it would be cool to just casually talk to my friend about different topics throughout our Catholic Church.
For sure.
My specialty, for instance, is music. I'm a music leader at a couple different parishes, and I've been doing that for a number of years.
I do youth ministry. I've been doing youth ministry for like 7 or 8 years now. So I work at a local parish here in Ventura County, where we live. And then we both do leadership retreats in our region. We've been been blessed with the opportunity to go on different retreats and help teens with music, with ministry, just leadership overall. So
so we just want to bring our two passions together and just kind of talk about whatever we want to chat about in the Catholic faith. So
for sure. And today is actually we're gonna have a topic with every episode. This is episode 1. Yeah. So today we're talking a little bit about social media and how the good, the bad, and how our faith kind of dives into it.
Yeah, I think it's a really important topic. Obviously, social media is huge. It's grown, and it can really be a game changer in terms of your faith, positive, negative. We're going to talk about both those things today.
Absolutely. But before we start that,
okay, what's up?
Ryan started drinking coffee.
Yeah,
I want to talk about that.
Sure.
How is it?
Okay. I've gone most of my life, all of my life to this point, without having coffee.
No.
And I've had 1 or 2 cups my entire life, and it's been pretty bad, pretty gross.
Sure.
So I'm like, if I've gotten through 30 plus years of my life without it, I think I'm all right.
Right.
But I just, for some reason the other day, I'm like, you know what, I'll give it a whirl. And maybe at this point in my life, I'm going to be a coffee drinker, but I'm still getting over the hump of the taste.
I was blown away today when you called me this morning. You're like, hey, do you want me to get you a cup of coffee? I was like, do you have the wrong number?
I had to start with, this is a really weird question coming from me, but I wanted to be nice and offer it up.
But here you are.
Here I am.
Oof.
I'll get there.
Yeah,
I'll get there.
Your medium roast.
Medium roast. I was like, at the counter, I'm like, what would you recommend for somebody that doesn't often drink coffee and really doesn't like the taste? She's like, what are you doing here?
Quick story on coffee is one time I was on a date with somebody at a coffee shop, and I walked up and the girl in front of me ordered the most extravagant double mocha frap with whipped cream and all this stuff, and I was so intimidated because I didn't know what to say. I just walked up and went, I'll just have a water. And I was really embarrassed.
That's awesome.
But it was free.
Wow.
So yeah.
And now you're
now I'm an avid coffee drinker.
Wow.
But
I'll get there one day.
Sure. It takes time.
Or not. Who knows?
Maybe you'll be like, yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So let's dive into social media and all that good stuff. The first topic we're going to talk about today is how do you carry yourself as a Catholic and just as a human being? How do you carry yourself on social media?
I think that's really important. Yeah. What kind of stuff are you posting?
Right.
What does it tell people about you? What does it show that you represent in life? So we can talk about what we personally post and what people are posting and how it reflects their Catholic values.
So what about you personally? Let's start with you. How do you post on social media? Because you've been kind of more avid about your social media posts lately with Psalm of the Week and things like that. What is some rules of thumb that you have about your social media?
Yeah, so I've been really ramping it up over the last couple of years. And basically the rule of thumb in my post is don't post anything that I wouldn't want my priest or pastor to see. I think that's a really important rule to live by. And it's important to showcase what you believe as a Catholic.
Right.
And okay, so in my early 20s when I was posting on social media wasn't as big then. Thank God, because I did some stuff that I was not proud of.
Sure.
And if I had been posting everything that I was doing in my life, I think it wouldn't have been so good for me. So I was thankful that wasn't around. But at this point in my life, I have definitely grown closer to God, grown stronger in my faith, and I want to make sure that what I'm posting, I actually believe in those values and I live what I'm posting.
Yeah, that it's a positive reflection of you and who you are and who
Absolutely.
you want to be. Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, and it's funny that you bring up that back before when you were posting when you were younger, is like social media was you needed a computer. And you needed to like now it's like people have multiple social media platforms on their phone in their pocket at all times.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I was around when MySpace was a big thing.
Right.
And that was all we had.
Yeah. Well, and my first social media was Facebook, and now it's like I talk to the teens that I work with in youth ministry, and none of them even have Facebook anymore. Like social media changes rapidly.
Like, when did that happen? How did that happen? We run retreats with high school kids.
I ask parents all the time, like, what happened to Facebook, and they go, parents
joined.
took it over.
It wasn't cool anymore.
Gotta get off. So they're waiting. Eventually, the parents will make their way to Instagram and take that over, and then kids are gonna have to go find something else.
I think it's already starting.
Oh, for sure. I mean, my mom has an Instagram.
Yeah,
she follows me.
But the funny thing is, depending on what kind of content that I'm posting, I need to be aware of what I'm posting on. So again, because I'm promoting myself as a Catholic musician, and most of my audience is adults that are on Facebook. So I post a lot of my stuff on Facebook.
Sure.
Although I do have a strong audience on Instagram as well. It's a lot of the kids that we meet on these retreats. They follow me. And so I'm trying to grab them as well.
I think that's the funny thing, because it's like we'll post something, even like Psalm of the Week, or I'll post like my Monday thoughts, talking about the gospel reflections or whatever. And I'll get like 25 likes on Facebook.
Man.
And I'm like, what? And then my mom will post like, I'm going to the play. 90 likes. Like, what the heck? Like, what am I doing? Like, how do I get this engagement? But it's because it's just, who's using these different social medias and who we're gearing it towards. Because, then on my Instagram, I'll get more likes because that's kind of the demographic that I'm geared towards.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But the thing is, you have to, regardless of who you're trying to connect with or talk to, you have to go back to that. You have to carry yourself in a manner that you want to, that's a good reflection of you and who you are.
So like, what rules do you live by when you're deciding on what to post?
Well, you see, it's always been, and as a youth minister, I was told really early on by a lot of mentors that I had, like, you got to be careful of what you post on social media. And it doesn't matter, like, that's a reflection of who you are as, not only as me as Danny, but me as the youth minister of this parish or whatever. And so my rule was always, don't post something I wouldn't feel comfortable showing my grandma.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't want to.
Same concept, right.
Exactly. And so like, and I try to be, as authentic and positive as I can with my posts. And, it's because I think that a lot of times, like, I'll talk to some younger teens and they'll say things like, oh, if I don't get a certain amount of likes on this picture, I'm going to delete it. Or if I don't, like, they'll have to take a picture 10 times in order to post it on social media. It's so, their image is so, like, valuable to them. And it's, I think in some aspects that can be, it's a little scary that they're basing their value on how many likes they get on a picture.
Well, there's a lot to that. A couple things you just said. I mean, for making the absolute perfect post, does that represent exactly who you are, or is that just this like a photoshopped version of you, version of your life? And what is, and that's what most people are doing these days, and it's really detrimental to, I think, a lot of people. My mom was actually talking the other day, because she was looking at all these families posting their beautiful vacations and everything like that. I'm like, you don't know what was happening behind the scenes. Maybe they had a terrible flight out there.
Sure.
Maybe it was just like they went to Hawaii or something. It was just like awful, and the kids are fighting the whole time. And then they finally make it up to like this waterfall, and they're having the worst day. And then like, all right, pose for this picture, and all the kids are like, no. And then they all pose, and then they're like having a beautiful time.
Best vacation ever.
Well, and everyone looks at the picture and they're like, oh man, why can't we have that perfect family like that? And it's like, well,
like, you have no idea.
You have no idea.
Well, and that's the funny thing too, is that it is when I started trying to be more posting about who I wanted to be on social media, it wasn't like, you put your filters on your pictures, right? I wasn't trying to put a Catholic filter on Instagram. Like I wanted to be posting who I am,
who you are, absolutely.
Not in all of life. Like, and sometimes I had to use because you're gonna post a picture about with your caption as some a verse from scripture or a quote or whatever, and then you're gonna go and act differently in the regular world. Like then you're just putting on a filter.
That's really
in
important.
real life.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's something that we all have to strive to, because I'm not perfect. I've done it plenty of times where I want to put my best self forward on Instagram or social media, but that should be a reflection of who I am in real life too. I should want to be that way in real life with people.
And I think there's something to that is you have to want it first and foremost. You have to want to act like that in real life if you don't already. But if you keep posting those positive Catholic posts, I think you will eventually get to that point. That might be a way. It's like they say, dress for success,
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it, I guess. I don't know if that really applies, but like
faith it till you make it.
Faith it till you make it. I saw
that on Instagram.
Oh, okay. Maybe you didn't hear it first.
I didn't. Yeah. It's not like I didn't make it up.
But if you're posting positive Catholic values, hopefully you will be living that out. But if you're currently not, keep going, keep doing it, and I think you will eventually not trick yourself, but like help move yourself in that direction. That's honestly what happened with me in some sense. For me, a lot of was being in the choir, directing it. As I said, I grew in my faith as my journey went along, but if I didn't have that choir grounding me and holding me to those values, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I think the same thing could apply to social media. Keep posting those positive things, and it might draw you closer.
Well, of course, and because like I would preach to the teens that I work with, I'd be like, hey, you got to be more careful of what you're posting, and you want to reflect positively and whatever. And then I was like, but then I need to be the example of that, and then that motivated me to be that and be like live by that example, not just post by that example. It's not about what not just what you post, but how you live.
Yeah.
So okay, but on that topic though, how can we be perceived negatively on social media?
Ooh.
Because this is a big thing that goes on, because people can, like you just said with that whole family thing, like you never know no one knows what's behind the picture, but you also don't know what assumptions people are going to make by a post. We were talking, I told you a funny story the other day, I'll share it now, is one time I was I got tagged in something on Facebook. I didn't post it, but I got tagged in it. Right? And it was 3 things you're happy to see after a night of drinking. Right? And it was like your keys and your wallet and your phone. And I got tagged in it by like a friend of mine. And it showed up on my Facebook wall. And then the next thing I know, one of the people at the parish that I worked with called me into their office, and they're like, hey, so you can't be posting stuff like this on social media being the youth minister. And I was like, I didn't even post it. But like there I was tagged in it. There it is on my, it says my name, and there's this post. And I was like, man, like you got to be even careful what you're tagged in, what you retweet, like that is it a reflection of who you want to be? And like, there's funny things on Facebook. Like there is that people will like or comment or like jokes and things like that. And like, we don't want to be like, we're not trying to say, get out there and like be perfectly by the book and don't like or comment on funny things. Like that's not what we're trying to say, but it's being careful of how, because like I had no idea, and then the next thing I know, I'm being called into the office by somebody who perceived me as this in this negative way because of a picture they saw on Facebook.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know if scary is the word I'm looking for, but you have to be really aware of how you're acting in the world, because whether or not you want to post something, like you said, you might just be at a party or something, and somebody could be taking pictures, taking a Snapchat or Instagram video, whatever it is, and they could post that, and you're in it.
Right.
Whether or not you're like, well, I didn't want to do it, but like there you are in their post, and that's how everyone's perceiving you. Yeah,
like with a world of where everyone's doing Snapchat stories and live videos, like you never know where you're going to end up.
Right.
And you just got to be careful with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. But I know a lot of people that don't post the most appropriate things always.
Same.
And even people that are kind of prominent in the Catholic world that we're living in.
Sure.
And it's not to say that we're specifically judging them on the choices that they're making in their life, but again, especially if you're a leader in the Catholic Church, whether you're like a youth minister, you're a music leader, you work in catechism or something like that,
right?
You got to realize that those people that are following you on those social media accounts, they're probably they're in your groups, they're at your church, they're at your parish. And are you posting yourself nights out, getting hammered?
Sure. What
is that saying about the values that you hold in your life? Are you posting scandalous pictures of yourself? I mean,
right.
That's a whole topic in itself right there.
Sure. Well, it's just remembering that that you are an example. And this is something that I have to struggle with too, because I actually manage 2 different social medias, right? Because I have one as my youth minister social media, and then I have one as my wrestler social media, right? And it's 2 very different things.
Wrestler social media.
Yeah.
We can talk about
we'll
that.
We'll talk about that later. But
Okay.
it's 2 social medias, and it's 2 completely different demographics. But I try to post, I'm not going to use bad language and stuff on my other one just because that's what, it's not the Catholic one, right? I'm trying to still be who I am and be true to myself and be true to my Catholic faith and my morals and beliefs on both of these different platforms.
I think that's a beautiful thing. And we can do a whole nother podcast on that topic, but your wrestler name is what?
Danny Devine.
Danny Devine.
Yeah.
And so you have a Catholic theme even with your wrestler character, right?
Right. Yeah. It worked out that way.
Sure.
I was trying to promote my faith, even something completely different.
Exactly.
It goes back to trying to live your faith no matter what you're doing, whether it's real life or social media or wrestling,
yeah,
or sports or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Things like that. Okay, so we talked about the negatives, but of course, social media is so big. There's tons of positives. There's tons of positive things that social media can do for our faith. How can we be more positive on social media, and how can we bring the gospel forward on social media?
Yeah, there's a lot there. Evangelizing with social media, it's huge. I mean, look at Bishop Barron.
Yeah, he's the king of it.
Started Word on Fire. It was a little thing when YouTube first started.
Yeah.
And now it's this worldwide phenomenon.
Or Ascension Presents Father Mike. I can't say how much I watch Father Mike videos every day.
Yeah.
Just for daily inspiration.
Right.
And they're always great.
It's amazing. So you have so many opportunities. When I'm eating breakfast, I stopped watching little episodes of Netflix, and I literally just have my phone and I put on Ascension Presents, or I watch, or I put on Word on Fire, whatever it is.
And that's the thing now too, is even social media can almost, things on YouTube and things can become a TV channel. If you have a smart TV, YouTube is just a channel.
Exactly.
I watch YouTube on my TV at my house.
Yeah.
So it's becoming a new way. And when you think of these big conferences like a Steubenville or a Seek or all these other places, you can watch the keynotes and the topics and stuff on TV. You can watch them at any time. So it's you're there live, you can see this stuff. So social media has a lot of positives for how to spread the gospel too. And those are just a few examples.
Right. So, we're trying one right here with this podcast to evangelize in a different way. Same kind of thing that Word on Fire is doing and everything. But again, we want to branch off and have just a casual conversation with people just in our fields, in the Catholic world, lay people doing our thing.
Right.
I think that's really important. Bishop Barron talks about this a lot. What about all the haters that are going to be out there? All the comments that we're going to get, or that he gets, the kind of the nastiness that's going to spew out from people.
Yeah, here's the thing: you can't please everybody. You can't reach everybody either. And I think that the second that you allow someone's negative comment to silence you from talking about your faith and talking about Christ, you've already lost. You're letting them win by someone saying that you're dumb or you're stupid or you shouldn't be talking about that. You've allowed them to win because they've now silenced your tongue in talking about Christ.
Sure.
And that's the opposite of what we want. We want to be talking about Christ as much as possible. Still no good.
Yeah, still we're getting.
But you know what I mean? We can't allow ourselves to be silenced.
Sure.
And that's, I think, one of my favorite things about what we're doing here is it's another way for us to be talking about our faith.
And how do you think the best way to respond or not respond to any comments that would come back?
I would say just it depends, because there's plenty of people that will criticize that want to have a discussion, and I don't think that it's a bad thing to have that discussion. I'm not really big on the Facebook debates on the comment section. That happens in politics and everything all the time. I'm not super into that because it's a faceless discussion. And I think talking to someone one-on-one, you can see more of their heart and where they're coming from. But if it's just straight negativity and they're just saying it to be negative or be vindictive or whatever, just leave it alone. Ignore it. Don't go down that road. Right. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep talking about the Christ that you love. And and leave it alone. Like, think of all the people that Jesus had to deal with that were talking negatively about what he was saying.
Yeah.
Obviously. Like, you can't let it phase you. Don't let it silence you is the big thing.
I think Bishop Barron often talks, he's like, well, those people are actively looking at your channel. So
Sure.
there's got to be something
Thanks
there.
for the views.
Thanks for the views. Well, that helps too, But if they're watching your whole video, I mean, there might be a slight chance that you can reach them.
Maybe. Yeah.
You know why? Unless they're just complete trolls and they're just like, let me look at complete opposite.
They watch 1 second of it and then they're like,
what can I troll about right now? And that's going to happen.
Of course.
And you can tell and he will often argue back with them in a positive way.
Right.
He tries to. Again, we're not theologians, so I don't know if I can back up a lot of what they say. But we would have to use our judgment and say, should we leave this alone? Maybe often I think the best thing is to let other people if you have a good following, let other people argue back for you to stand up, and that kind of creates some positive interaction.
Yeah, and I think that it comes down to we're not trying to create arguments when we talk about our faith on social media. Yeah. But it also comes down to don't be afraid to talk about your faith on social media. And I think, and that's something else we're going to talk about, this is a great segue, is I think a lot of the times, like, I'll say, hey, how come you didn't share, like, we'll have a worship night or something at the parish, and I'll say, how come you didn't share the poster? Or why don't you guys post about it and get people to come? Like, I can't have that on my feed. Yeah. You can't have that on your feed. It's part of your life. Right. We should have our identity in Christ, and you don't want to post about it. And that's something, and I struggled with that too. I was mostly like posting like what picture do I look the best in or whatever. And then it got to the point where like, I think every post that I've made lately has just been like, how can I dip my faith into this post? How can I use my faith in this post? Because that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah. I can tell you honestly, early on, I was embarrassed to post, Catholic stuff because I've been a Catholic my entire life and I've been living in this, but I've grown more recently. But as a musician, I wanted to just be a rock star. Right. And in my early 20s, I was just trying to write secular music. And when I kind of made that transition into writing Christian Catholic rock, I didn't want to dive fully in. And I thought that everyone on my Facebook page or Instagram would judge me for posting about my faith. And for writing, even the songs that I wrote at first were kind of like questionable Christian rock. It was almost like when you take a love song and just change her for God or her or whatever for the Lord. I was writing very vague because I didn't want to fully dive in and I didn't want to commit to it because I thought I would be judged. Sure. And I think it was only once I fully committed and said, I'm going to write a psalm every week and I post it, and we'll talk about that in other episodes. Right. But that I got so much positive feedback. I really wasn't getting much before then, but then people really, this is who you are. I accept that. I don't even think I lost any followers really. People were like, I love it. Yeah. Tell me more about what you do, because that's even if they're not Catholic, they don't believe whatever, they just see that I'm so passionate about it, and I think they can appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I think that and it goes both ways too, not just on the people that maybe that aren't believers, that don't think heavily. It's like, I think something that I struggle with is I've been doing my Monday thoughts on Monday on my Instagram story. I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, I just I read the gospel from Sunday, and then I just talk about what I think. But I was afraid to post things because what if I'm wrong? Or what if I don't sound as intelligent or as educated as other people? When you have the Bishop Barons out there, the Father Mikes that are great, this great theological, like they've been studying this stuff for years and years and years, putting out their thoughts. And I thought, like, who am I to, like, why nobody cares what I have to say? Yeah. Or why would they listen to me when they could go listen to them? But then I thought about it more, and I was like, we are all called to be witnesses. So like what I have to say about my faith is important too. And I think that goes for everybody. That goes anybody. If you want to post about your faith or talk about a testimony that you're going through or something that you're where you saw God in your life, talk about it. Yeah. Talk about it, because that's how we're going to get the word out about God.
I think that's so important. And I want to call back to what you said earlier too. Kind of combine these two things is speaking about your faith, no matter what, no matter who you are, telling your story, because your story matters to who knows who. Yeah, it could just be one person that you could change their life with what you have to say. Right. And so what you were saying earlier is you put a post out and maybe you only get 4 likes, and some people's first instinct is to take that down. Yeah. They're like, oh, that's embarrassing, nobody likes it. Personally, that happens to me too. I put all this hard work into some videos, and like nobody likes it, and I call up Dan. I'm like, man, this sucks. I put so much work.
Go comment on my picture.
Give me a comment, man. But 4 likes or 3,000 likes or 300,000,
right?
Even if it's 4, one of those people, you might touch their lives more than you could ever imagine. And that's so important, so valuable.
Of course, and it's not just about who you're reaching, but it's about you too. Get more comfortable talking about your faith. You know, every time you post, every time you comment, every time you talk about your faith in any way, you get more comfortable doing it, and you get more comfortable doing it, and then eventually it's easy. It's an easy thing to do, to just be like, you can throw your faith in any conversation. And I think that's like, I think that a year ago, there's no way that you and I would be sitting here having a full on podcast conversation about our faith.
Absolutely not.
We were like, I don't know, maybe. But now it's like, I love talking about my faith, and I'll talk about it as often as I can.
Yeah.
And I think it's because I just did it for as much as I possibly could. And it's about building those reps almost.
Exactly. You know, you got to just, you can't strive to be perfect right off the bat. You just have to put it out there, and you'll get better. Sure. Like this podcast is our first one. We're striving to make it great, but we realize that as it's going to move on, it's going to evolve, it's going to grow. Yeah. We're going to grow together. I hope you guys come along for the ride with us, and stick with us.
Well, it's just an avenue. It's another avenue for us to talk about our faith, and hopefully we'll get some people on here to talk about their faith as well. And we encourage you guys, like, when this goes up on YouTube, things like that, like, comment what you think about this stuff. Like, we want it to be a discussion.
Yeah.
Like I said, literally the name is 2 Catholic dudes. We're just 2 guys that are talking about it. And we want you to be part of the conversation. But yeah, so I think that's it, is that's what's on my heart right now since we've been talking, is that don't be silenced and don't be afraid. Post, talk about your faith as often as possible. And I know that the big famous quote is like preach the gospel at all times, when necessary, use words. Like, that's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
And you got to do it by your actions. But at the same time, people got to hear you too. And you got to use your words too, because people need to hear it. Yeah. And don't be afraid if you don't. I don't know a lot. I'm not a scripture scholar or anything like that. It doesn't matter. Talk. If you believe in God and God loves you, talk about it.
Right. And find your particular voice, whether that's you speaking. For me, it's music. That's how I can preach the gospel the best. Right. I find sometimes I stumble over my words. Sometimes I don't say what I want to say, but I feel that I can reach people the best when I sing, when I play, when I create music. Whether you are a gifted speaker, whether you're a musician, whether you can find something different. Maybe your gift is drawing or something. Maybe you can post these inspirational, I don't know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head.
Artwork,
you can find creative ways to preach the gospel, and use that social media to showcase it.
Heck yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. I think that if more people were to kind of flood social media, if more Catholics flooded their social media with their beliefs and their trust in God and their faith, it'd be a lot more positive.
Yeah. Personally, right now, I'm trying to create, you guys know the social media challenges that have been out there. So there was first like the ice bucket challenge.
Oh, throwback.
That was like 6 years ago or something, right? I'm sure there's a few more right now. It's like the bottle cap challenge that I've been seeing. I think that's even phasing out, but people try to karate kick a bottle cap off of a bottle. So I'm trying to create a Catholic musician one. And so it's just something to get the ball rolling and to get people posting. So my idea is I posted myself singing and playing a well-known Catholic hymn, but in a different time signature. If you're not musicians, you might not know what that means, but playing out of time, essentially.
It sounds funny.
It sounds funny, right? It's something different. It's cute. It's not, I hope it's not offensive to anyone. I'm not trying to be irreverent, but it's just something fun to show that.
And on that point, you gotta have fun.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta have fun with your faith, Right. Like, I don't think that God wants us to just be like, okay. Oh, okay, we're back in action. So we had to make a little cut there. We were trying to stick to our 30-minute limit, but hey, the Spirit's moving in the conversation.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about is don't be silenced. We're not going to let a camera timer silence our conversation.
Yeah, this camera had 30-minute limit on the recording. Still working out the bugs, but we got it. We're back.
But anyways, we're talking about your challenge. and how it's we were talking about not wanting to be irreverent, but like, which I get, but it's okay to have fun. We have to have fun in our faith. If we're not having fun in our faith, then we're just going to be like bland, boring. That's not inviting.
Exactly.
Then people aren't going to want to be like, whoa, loving Jesus is awesome.
Right.
Living Christ's joy.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm trying to do with this challenge is to invite all my Catholic musician friends to join in on this challenge, to post their own content doing this silly song, and get something exciting out there in the world, and get something spinning around in our Catholic world, so that people can be like, wow, you Catholics do have fun, I love it.
Well, of course, and that's what it is. It comes down to not being afraid. Post, enjoy, have fun, do it. Make it something cool, and that's what like I'm trying to do with my Monday thoughts. It's just something that I want to do. And you know what? It's funny because last Monday I did it like I usually do it right when I pull up to work. I do it in the morning. Yeah. And I didn't do it. I wasn't really feeling so hot. I was like, I don't really have anything to say, or what I have to say isn't noteworthy or whatever. And I had a couple people text me that were like, hey, where are the Monday thoughts? And I was like, oh, what? People care. People want to hear them. And I was like, it motivated me to like, okay, well, I'm going to go do them right now. Yeah. And so, I think
that's good too, is to, because maybe if those people didn't comment on there, like, hey, where are they? You might not have done it.
I wouldn't have done it.
So it's important to be that person for somebody else too. If there's somebody that posts meaningful content, especially good Catholic content that you want to see more of, help them out and show them that they're loved, and that the content that they're putting out there is meaningful, and that'll help them be motivated.
Well, of course, because there's people on our Facebook, that we can both, I think, attest to, that like anytime we post, they're the first ones to comment, and they comment like awesome stuff, and it's just like so inspiring and motivating, and like honestly, like shout out to them, right? Because they're the best, and that's what keeps us going. Yeah, and we can be that for other people. So if you see someone, your friends or other people posting about their faith, comment. You know what? I'll say my friend Ryan here. Anytime I post anything, he gives me the fire emojis, so that I'm like, yeah, all right, no, I'm inspired. Yeah. So yeah, it's supporting each other in that too. Supporting each other in sharing our faith, right, is important.
Now, maybe this is a whole other podcast topic, and I don't even want to touch it too much right now. But like, what is too much screen time and too much phone time? So like, you got to find that line between being on too much social media. Sure. So it can be, again, good to evangelize, to help yourself grow, but is it too much and it's pulling you away from real life situations? So it's a good point. Let's open that up for another podcast topic in the future.
Okay, but but anyway, so we're hitting the end of our time here.
We were like, let's make this 30 minutes. We don't want to go too long. You guys don't want to sit that long, so we should wrap this thing up, huh?
Yeah, so, moral of the story is today, don't be afraid. Don't be silenced. Post. Don't be afraid to post about your faith on social media. Let your social media reflect who you are as a believer in Christ. Let your identity be, beloved son or daughter of Christ, and let that social media portrayal be there too. Whether you're a mom on Facebook or a teenager on Instagram, doesn't matter. We should carry ourselves in a positive light on social media always.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love it. All right. You want to plug our social media since we're talking about that?
Sure. Yeah. You can follow me at Danny Cleary YM on Instagram, Twitter.
All the things.
On Facebook, my name is Danny Cleary, so you can follow me there.
Yeah, you don't have a Facebook official thing.
I don't have a Facebook official thing. Maybe we'll make our Two Catholic Dudes Facebook page.
Coming soon, Two Catholic Dudes on Facebook. We got that real soon.
You can subscribe to me on YouTube also, Danny Cleary on YouTube.
Yeah, you've done a couple videos. You're going to start doing more, right?
Yeah. So
and it's just same kind of topic. It's just by yourself, your solo project.
My solo project of talking about my faith.
One Catholic dude.
Yeah. Anyways, and then what do you got?
And you can follow me at all the social medias at RyanClouseMusic, all one word. I post a lot on Facebook and Instagram. Again, I have a separate Facebook one, RyanClouseMusic. I post honestly most of the stuff on my personal page, but I'm trying to bridge the gap and transition into the other one. Instagram, I post a lot on, a lot of stories on just day-to-day things. We vlog a lot.
We're gonna probably vlog even more now.
Yep.
Now that we're two Catholic dudes.
Absolutely, get that vlog working. And then I have a YouTube channel as well. You can see a lot of my old YouTube content. I used to do secular music. There's actually just hit the 1 million mark for views from all my videos together. It's pretty exciting. I haven't posted about that yet.
Well, that's probably where we're going to be with this podcast.
Yeah, after episode 1, we're going to
be on the Ryan Clouse YouTube page.
So. Yeah, so you're going to find this video on Ryan Clouse YouTube. Yeah. We're going to keep posting on that. And you can watch, and I'm going to be posting a lot more Catholic content on there as well, original songs, cover songs, etc.
Yeah, and please, mention in the comments, did you enjoy episode 1? What are some topics you want us to talk about? Because we are totally open to suggestions. We're going to try to get some guests on the show, some friends of ours and things like that we want to just be able to talk, openly about our faith.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. Again, 2 Catholic dudes. We want to thank you guys for tuning in today.
Yeah.
We don't have a tagline yet. Comment on what our tagline should be.
Yeah. What do you think? What should be our sign out?
Sign out.
But anyway, we'll see you on the next one.
Sounds good. See you next week.